Hello everyone! So, on today's list of things I've stumbled across on the internet is Infinite Stars, a really cute looking sci-fi visual novel that I've stumbled across on Reddit of all places. This game is still being worked upon, so currently only episode 1 is available and some bits and pieces might change. As a heads up front, there's not really a huge amount of chat or talk in this one. We mostly just go through the storyline with some debatable quality voice acting by yours truly. So let's go ahead and get started, shall we, and have a little look at this. Location, Catsea Colony, restricted orbit zone, time 23:47, set. The shuttle quietly drifted into orbit around the planet. All of the onboard systems were offline to avoid detection. If anyone noticed them, they would just see another piece of mining debris being pulled into Catsea's orbit. Maveen spoke with a hushed voice.
We're drifting towards the blind spot. Are you ready to power up and fire the engines?
I'm ready. I know. Too early and they detect us. Too late and we burn in the atmosphere. I've got this.
I know you do.
Vera glanced down at her wrist console, trying to anticipate when the notification would ping. Her fingers were resting on the powered-down controls that would bring the ship back to life. At the exact moment the wrist console pinged, Vera brought the ship consoles online. She moved her fingers over to the engine controls in preparation to fire them. What was that?
It sounded like we collided with a large piece of mining debris.
Well, it pushed us off course.
Let me check. Oh, it's worse than I thought. We don't have much time. We need to correct our course. Fire the engines!
No, it's still too soon.
Vera, if you don't fire now, we won't be able to correct our orbit in time. We'll burn up.
Not yet. We're still outside of the blind spot.
We only have a few seconds left.
We need to wait. Firing the engines now will create a huge signature ping. The squids will know we are here and destroy us.
Vera!
Almost! Vera slammed down the thrust control on the navigation console, pushing herself and Maveen back into their chairs. The engines roared as the tiny shuttle corrected its course, entering and maintaining its position in the blind spot, safely hidden among the debris.
Is there any movement from the blockade? Did they detect us?
No, but it seems like we took a bit of damage from that impact.
Is it serious?
Vera's finger glided over the console, her eyes scanning the numbers and graphs on the displays. We have a minor fuel leak and a few dents, but atmospheric integrity seems to be holding.
Praise be, it could have been much worse.
I still don't understand why this is a covert mission. Why can't we just approach the colony and ask them what's going on? Aren't the squids supposed to be our allies now?
The Cephalusks, and yes, they are our allies, but the situation is complicated.
Catsea Colony has always been in the restricted zone. Why now suddenly deny us access to our own people?
That's what we are here to find out.
May the collision, if we land, we won't have enough fuel to get back into orbit. How are we going to get back to the colony now?
I don't know. We can't open a communication channel either, as that would immediately alert the Cephalusk fleet of our presence.
What about a drop drone? We could send me down with an old long-wave comm kit. That could work. Even if the squids see the radio chatter, they will just assume it's local planet-side transmissions.
Cephalusk, Vera. But yes, it could work.
Okay.
You will need to be careful as we don't know what to expect down there.
Okay, you're right. I'll prep the drop drone with some additional supplies. Vera walked towards the storage module. She was glad to be alone with her thoughts for a moment. She knew that the people on the colony would need the supplies, but she had to be careful in selecting what she packed. She couldn't risk unbalancing the drop drone. The pod was already fitted with a personal transport module, so it had all the basic survival gear. She could fit 4, maybe 5 additional secure crates in the pod if she stacked them securely in the centre. The colony is probably in bad shape, they will need medical supplies. She wouldn't be able to pack a Medicist drone, so she grabbed several dozen heat wands and nanogel packs. Synth skin sheets were always useful for burns, so she packed a few of those too. Next was adrenaline ejectors, painkillers and antibacs, anything that could be useful while still fitting into the crates. It wasn't hard to fill up the crates, and once done, she packed them into the drop drone. She made sure to check that everything was secured. Lastly, she packed the old mobile long-wave radio backpack, tying it down on top of the neatly stacked tower of crates. Vera walked over to the secure storage module to arm and prep herself. She opened the security palm lock on the door and stepped inside. Vera immediately walked over to the combat suits. It had been a while since she'd had to wear one of those. She stripped down and stepped onto the platform with her arms and legs spread wide. Moments later, the automated system started assembling a protective armoured suit around her body. The finishing touch was a small laser that engraved her name and rank onto the regraphed metal tag slightly below her shoulder. She closed the visor and took a deep breath through her nose. There was a faint metallic and grease odour inside the suit. Always reminds me of home. Vera stepped off from the platform and walked over to the armoury. She grabbed a rifle from the secured container before returning to Maevine. Drop drone is ready to go. Did you manage to find a good touchdown spot?
Vera, I discreetly scanned the colony, and something is really wrong.
What is it?
There aren't a lot of people down there. I could only detect 37 life forms. There should be several thousand.
Do you think it has anything to do with why we lost all access to the colony?
I think that maybe this is what the cephalisks are trying to hide.
Do you think they wouldn't eradicate a whole colony, would they?
I don't know. Some cephalisks weren't happy that we were allowed in the Concordat, but attacking a human colony would be stupid. And the cephalisks aren't stupid. If they did this and it came to light, their Concordat membership would be revoked.
What if they thought they could get away with it?
Even then, what would they have to gain?
I fought the squids in close combat during the Discovery War. They are a cruel species. For them, just inflicting pain and suffering would be motivation enough. Maevine sighed quietly.
It was war. I've seen the holoflicks and read the reports. They weren't any less cruel than we were.
It's different. We acted in self-defense.
And each time we retaliated, they acted in self-defense. Violence begets violence.
You weren't there. You weren't on the ground where it was happening. It's different when you were safely in a starship, worlds apart from the carnage. You didn't witness the mutilated horrors and all the terrible deaths.
Let's change the subject. We need to stay focused. We have a job to do.
Fine.
What supplies did you decide on packing?
I figured they need medical supplies, and with that many people missing, there is bound to be injuries.
Good thinking.
A short while later. The drop drone engine screamed as it plummeted towards the planet, leaving a trail of engine exhaust as it descended. Every now and then, the entire pod would rattle from turbulence. Drop drones were slowly being phased out, but the demand for planet orbit relay transportation was so high that most transport shuttles still came fitted with at least one of them. Vera focused on her breathing, trying to calm herself down. She had always hated these unreliable transport drones. They were old and prone to failure.
How are you holding up down there?
Oat, Ba, St, More, Bula, and XB.
You're breaking up. I can barely hear you. We'll have to talk once you've touched down.
Cop at. Vera bit down on her teeth. Her eyes were closed and her breathing was heavy. This is bringing back memories I would rather not have. I just need to focus. No need to panic. Just breathe in, breathe out. Breathe. Her thoughts were interrupted by a sudden jolt of turbulence that sent a wave of rattles down the tower of tied-down crates. She opened her eyes, noticing that one of the secured medical crates had moved, shifting the drop drone's centre of gravity. Alarms were going off, and she could feel the drop drone tilt from being off balance. The automated computer started complaining. Shit. Vera unhooked her safety harness tether and carefully started crawling back towards the crate on all fours. If I can just shove it back into place and rebalance the centre of gravity. Her hands and feet dragged on the floor, and she clung to the support struts for balance, pushing forward towards the crates. The computer was still nagging at her to correct her course. I know, that's what I'm trying to do. The crates were tied down on top of each other, dangerously leaning towards the left. Vera reached the medical crates and pushed against them. They didn't move. She pushed against them harder, but the crates wouldn't shift back into position. Frustrated, Vera sat up and braced her back against a support strut. She kicked back against it, lunging forward and crashing against the tower of crates with all her might. As she catapulted her entire weight forward, her shoulder connected with the tower of crates. The last thing Vera remembered was the white-hot pain shooting through her entire body. Meanwhile, Maeveen anxiously watched as the drop drone descended on its intended trajectory. You're almost there, Vera. Suddenly, the computer started beeping at her, and a bright red warning blinked on the screen.
This can't be good.
Maeveen watched helplessly as the drop drone continued to veer off course. Each passing second sharpened the descent curve downwards.
You need to stabilise it, Vera, or else the whole pod will start to tumble and tear apart.
It was like Vera heard her and acted on her warning. The drone suddenly started correcting its course, and the computer stopped moaning at Maeveen. Maeveen sighed from relief.
I knew you could do it.
Maeveen watched as the drop drone continued to self-correct its trajectory. A short while later, it gently touched down, only a few feet from where it was initially meant to land.
She made it.
Vera woke up from the nagging pain in her shoulder. She felt the sting of 2 injections shooting her in the neck from her suit's built-in vitals monitor. She knew one would be filled with adrenaline, and the other with a strong pain inhibitor. It started working instantly. She immediately felt more alert and jumped to her feet. She grabbed her rifle and stepped outside of the drop drone. It had touched down safely inside the assembly square. She looked around the deserted exterior, scanning for any immediate threats. She heard the sound of boots sprinting towards her. Not sure what to expect, she lifted the rifle, aiming towards where the sound was coming from. A young teenage girl, carrying a black cat in her arms, came sprinting around the corner. When she saw Vera with the rifle pointing at her, she froze mid-sprint and tried to turn around, causing her to fall down, sliding and skidding on the ground. She frantically tried crawling away out of Vera's sight as the cat dashed off. The girl looked terrified. Please, don't shoot. Hey, it's okay. I'm not going to shoot you. The girl stopped trying to crawl away and looked up at her. Vera could see the terror in her eyes. Are you okay? Did you hurt yourself? The girl scrambled back up to her feet and ran to Vera, looking back over her own shoulder as she approached. She had her index finger on her lips, indicating for Vera to be quiet. What's going on? Is someone chasing you? They'll be here soon. They would have detected your drop drone come in. Who? Who is coming? Sentinels. We need to hide. The girl tugged at Vera as she squeezed past her into the drop drone. Vera followed her reluctantly. Once inside, she could see the girl mentally taking in the contents of the drone and its interior. Are you okay? What's your name? My name is Katya. Do you have any food? No, but there is a crate of medical supplies over there. Oh, okay. We'll need medical supplies too. We need to grab it and leave. Did you see in which direction Cleo ran? Hold off a bit. What's going on? Who is Cleo? My cat, Cleo. I'm not sure. Fine. I'll tell you whatever you want to know once we are safe. For now, we need to grab what we can and leave. Cleo will find me. You are safe here. No, you don't understand. We're running out of... The girl spun around. Her face was contorted in horror. We need to go, now! Where? Why? Now! The girl ran towards the entrance and then briefly froze before jumping away from the door. It's too late! One of them has found us! Vera lifted her rifle and walked towards the door. She had barely spotted the floating mechanical sentinel when she dodged out of the way from incoming blaster fire. What is that thing? It's a sentinel. It kills any humans it finds. We'll see about that. Vera swung around the corner, her rifle kicking back into her numbed shoulder as it fired several bursts of ammunition. The sentinel expertly dodged all of them. It has a focused tracking computer. I won't be able to hit it without a distraction. Vera looked at the girl, and then without pause, she grabbed her and flung her outside the door. What are you? Run! As the girl stumbled in the dirt, trying to run for cover, Vera swung back into the entrance. The machine was speeding towards the girl in the dirt, getting ready to fire at her. Vera opened fire on the sentinel once more. This time, her bullets made contact with the sentinel, causing it to explode in a cloud of smoke and flaming debris that came crashing down towards the girl. The girl was crouched on the ground, crying. Why did you? It was the only way. You were never in real danger. How could you know that? I've destroyed a few squid machines during the war. They all function on the same old systems. But you've never seen one of those before. You couldn't know it was the same. It was a calculated risk. So you just decided to take a chance and gamble with my life? Look, it was either going to work or not. If it didn't work, both of us were going to die. So yes, I took a gamble, and it paid off. But I thought I was going to die. I'm sorry, but there was no other way. At least you are safe now. No other way? What the hell is wrong with you? What is your problem? Just a thanks will be enough, and it's not even necessary. Are you serious? That sentinel had more empathy than you, and it's a machine! Whatever. Fine. When you are done having an emotional tantrum, let me know. I have adult business to discuss with you. Emotional tantrum? What the? Vera slapped the girl lightly across her face. Katia froze, unsure of what just happened. Why, what was that for? You thought you were going to die. You're high on adrenaline, and you've clearly got tons of conflicting emotions competing for attention in your head. So you decide to slap me? The slap shocked your system and forced you to mentally recalibrate. I need information from you, and we don't have time for your emotions to run their course. There is something wrong with you. Do you really think slapping me would work? You tell me. I'm still very angry at you. Sure. While you are here fuming about still being alive, what the hell happened here? I don't know. I need to report back about this colony. I don't think I don't know is going to go down too well. What do you want from me? I want to know what's happened here. Look around. The colony was slaughtered. But why? Your guess is as good as mine. About a week ago, a bunch of these sentinels showed up and started attacking us out of the blue. Were they looking for something or someone? No, they just came out of nowhere and started shooting people. My mom, she died right in front of me. We heard the shouting and the shooting in the streets and hid in our house. The next moment, a sentinel busts in and just killed her. I was hiding under the table beneath some blankets. I could hear the machine moving around the house. I stayed hidden for 2 days before the hunger and thirst became too much. I was too scared to move, too scared to sleep, too scared to even breathe. I'm sorry you had to experience that. If it hadn't been for my cat Cleo, I would have no one left. Katia started sobbing into Vera's shoulder. I need to find Cleo. He's all alone out there. Reluctantly, Vera put an arm around her. Later. Vera was busy calibrating the perimeter alarms while Katya watched her work. Vera, what is space like? It's okay, I guess. Why'd you ask? I don't know. I guess I always wondered what it would be like to live among the stars. You do live among the stars. You know what I mean. To be honest, it's not much different from living here on this colony. You make it sound so normal, almost boring. It's new and exciting at first, but then it becomes the new normal, I guess. It's different planets, atmospheres, and night skies, but it's the same humans everywhere. That makes me sad. Why? You aren't missing out on much. I meant, it makes me sad for you. You get to see all these different stars, planets, people, and it's just normal to you. Oh. If I had the opportunity to go to all those places and meet everyone, I'd live in a constant state of wonder. You are still young. Everything has a sense of wonder and magic to it at your age. Well, I hope I never outgrow it. Katya gently lifted a golden locket out of her robes. She opened it and looked at the picture inside. Kyle and I always spoke about travelling the stars together. The plan was to save up enough credits to buy passage on one of the merchant starships. We'd see the universe together, side by side, and everything would be perfect. Now, I won't ever see him again. Vera's voice trailed off into silence. Was Kyle one of the colonists that... Katya's eyes became teary. No, Kyle and his parents got transferred off-planet a few years ago. We were still teenagers. He had no choice in the matter. He promised that he would come back for me. I still miss him, every day. She slipped the locket back into her clothes. Vera glanced at the young woman. She felt uneasy, not sure what to say. Since she was a small girl, she liked to focus on tangible things she could change through action. She was good at getting things done. But real emotions made her feel uncomfortable. She couldn't bang them with a spanner or shoot at them until the problem went away. She was desperate to change the subject. Vera patted the final perimeter module. There, that should do it. Perimeter is up. We can get some sleep. Vera smiled at Katya in an attempt to lighten the mood. Thanks. The women got ready to sleep. Vera didn't dare remove her combat armour, and she slept with her automatic pistol next to her, while Katya found a corner where she crawled underneath a dirty, discarded blanket. Vera was a light sleeper, and the sound of soft sobbing woke her. It was Katya crying as quietly as she could. Vera stared at the ceiling. She knew she wouldn't be able to fall asleep again. She got up and walked over to the old comm kit, stamping her feet slightly harder than she needed to, making sure Katya knew she was awake. The soft sobbing subsided. It was clear that Katya didn't want her to know she had been crying. May, are you awake?
Yeah, I'm here. How is it going down there?
Did you see the preliminary report on the situation here?
I did. What are your personal thoughts?
The colony is in bad shape. I doubt they will be able to rebuild without off-planet supplies and labour.
I thought it would come down to this. We'll either have to evacuate and abandon or resupply. Lunar Command will have to make the call.
Yep.
We need to head back to the Tabitha and get out of here. Is it safe to travel back to the drop drone yet?
It should be. Me and the girl will start for it at first light.
Okay, stay safe and see you soon. Oh, Vera?
Yeah?
Be careful out there. Get back to me safe.
We'll be fine. The sun was already high when Vera and Katya reached the drop drone. Vera swatted at the tiny catsy flies that persistently kept trying to bite her. When they got close enough to see the drop drone, they briefly stopped to study the area. How do you know there aren't any sentinels nearby? I don't, but we need to get back into orbit, and the drop drone is the only way to do that. If you start the launch sequence, won't it attract the sentinels? Probably. I don't like this. I don't want to go. You don't really have a choice. Of course I do. I can stay here. You can't make me go. Vera sighed. You can stay, but it would be foolish. You'll die here. But it's my choice. You realise there won't be any supplies, no food, no clean water, no other people. This is my home. Everyone I've ever cared for lived here. Lived. Past tense. It's time to make a new home. I can't. What about Kyle? Don't you want to see him again? See? There are people out there that you still care for. Vera and Katya started walking towards the drop drone. I can't leave. I have responsibilities here. Like what? You're incredibly lucky that I found you. You have a chance to get off this planet. Don't waste it. I owe it to Cleo. You're willing to stay behind and die for a cat. If it wasn't for Cleo, I'd be dead already. I owe him my life. It's a cat. He isn't keeping score. He'll be fine on his own. He won't. Fine. We can spare maybe an hour to look for... A sudden blaster shot rang in the air, and a beam of bright, pulsing light deflected off Vera's upper thigh armour. Vera immediately spun around to make sure Katya was fine. Run! Get inside the drop drone. Vera shoved the girl towards the drop drone entrance, as she returned covering fire in the general direction where the shot had come from. Strap yourself down. I'll be there in a second. We need to leave right now. But Shut up about the stupid cat. We aren't dying down here. Vera slowly backed up against the drop drone, shooting in the direction of anything that moved. She couldn't quite make out where the sentinels were coming from, or exactly how many there were. There seemed to be at least 4. She fired her last shot and slipped into the drop drone. When she entered the drop drone, she hit the emergency lock interface next to the door. The door made a loud hissing sound as it closed. There are 4 or more sentinels approaching fast. We need to leave right now if we want to leave at all. Vera punched in the launch sequence and turned to strap herself in. Katya was nowhere to be seen. Katya? She clumsily unbuckled herself and ran to check behind the supply crates that had been scavenged by someone earlier. The launch sequence was counting down, and she couldn't find Katya anywhere. Katya, if you're hiding, you need to come out right now. I'm not joking around. Right then, Vera noticed the small golden locket hanging from the opposite door panel. Damn it, foolish girl. The computer moaned at her to strap in. The launch was imminent. Vera knew she couldn't abort the sequence once started. She had no choice but to leave the girl behind and try to come back for her later. Vera walked over to the strap down and got in position. She closed her eyes, wishing things had worked out differently. She would come back for Katya as soon as she got back into orbit. Maveen was waiting for Vera when the drop drone docked with the shuttle.
Vera, I'm glad you made it back safely. Where is the girl?
She stayed behind.
How?
She is an idiot. She went back for her cat.
We have to go back for her.
I know. I'll prep the drop drone for re-entry.
Okay, we need to hurry. I don't know how much time we have before that scout spots us. We can fool the sensors at long range, but it's getting close enough for their scans to identify us as non-debris.
There was a soft rustling from one of the crates.
Vera, there is something in that crate over there.
Katya, are you in here? No. Vera shoved Maveen out of the drop drone entrance and hit the emergency lock panel.
Vera, open this door. What's going on?
Stay there. Get ready to eject me in the drone if necessary.
Eject? What is happening, Vera?
Vera eyed the crate. It was too small to fit Katya, but it was just large enough to fit a small sentinel. I think we might have a sentinel on board. Oh, but you'll be able to disable it, right? Vera? Vera brought her finger to her lips, indicating Maveen to be quiet. She raised her rifle and carefully approached the crate, ready to shoot at the first sign of movement. When Vera was close enough, she kicked the crate. A ball of angry claws and black fur jumped out of the box in distress, hissing and running, looking for a spot to hide. Cleo? Are you, naughty word, kidding me? The cat jumped onto one of the crates, arched his back, and hissed at Vera. Oh, you have no idea how much trouble you caused. Katya stayed behind because of you. Come here. You can't be running free on a starship. Cleo expertly dodged as Vera lunged for him. I'm serious. You'll just get into a maintenance duct and chew on the electric cables or something. Vera managed to corner a hissing Cleo in one of the empty crates. At that moment, the drop drone door opened and Maveen stepped in.
I've had to manually override the door security. What are you?
Cleo dashed out between Vera's legs and leapt into Maveen's arms.
Oh, you poor thing, are you alright?
Meow. Good, you caught it. Give it to me and I'll dispose of it.
Vera, it's a living creature. You can't just dispose of it.
Well, we can't keep it here.
Why not?
It's a wild animal. It's going to piss everywhere. Besides, what would you even feed it? We're on short supply of baby birds.
It's not a wild animal. That girl is going to be very upset if you got rid of her cat. And it's not permanent. It's just until we can reunite them.
Fine.
Will you be fine finishing up here? I need to get back to the consoles.
Sure, I can handle this. Maveen walked away, still holding Cleo in her arms. Vera was all alone, going over the crates and checking various interfaces for any issues. Why couldn't you just have listened? Now you are down there, and the whole reason you stayed behind is up here. When Vera finished checking everything, she walked out to meet up with Maveen.
Vera, we have a problem. That Cephalus scout spotted us. They want to talk.
Good. I want to talk to them too. Face to face, so I can punch one of them in their puffed up faces and...
No, we aren't supposed to be here. And punching someone will either get us killed or create a diplomatic incident.
Fine. But let me still do the talking. I've had the most experience dealing with squids.
I don't think that's a good idea. You are too...
With respect, I know how to deal with them. I promise that I'll be calm.
Very well, but don't blow it.
I won't. Squids value truth, so I think we should just come out and tell them why we are here.
If you are sure, I trust you.
Vera took a deep breath to calm her nerves. She counted to 3 and opened the comlink to the Cephalisk's ship. We are UIC members. I am Ensign Vera, and this is Lieutenant Maveen from the UIC Tabitha. We are here to investigate a distress signal we received from our colony. I know that you are UIC members, but that cannot be.
We aren't lying. You can check our...
If you belong to the UIC, as you in your drive signature claim, you would know that you do not belong here. And yet, here you are. It is a squirming paradox to me.
Why did you attack our colony?
It is a bold move to accuse a friend of such a terrible sin. It was your sentinels that attacked the colony. We have proof. Sentinels, yes. Ours, no. You squids are the only species to use sentinels. If they aren't yours, then whose are they? Squids? Ah, because of my many limbs. Humorous. But your intellect and reasoning have betrayed you. Do the dwellings on this colony belong to you? No. Yet humans are the only species to live in such structures.
Are you saying a different Cephalisk faction attacked the colony?
Factions? Childling, there are no Cephalisk factions. We are one collective. So you admit it was your sentinels that killed those people? Fascinating, yet tiring. I now see why our diplomatic envoys described humans as frustrating to deal with. You all seem to lack the basic retention of information. They are not our sentinels. I don't...
Let it go, Vera. You're agitating her.
Thousands of lives were lost, May. She can deal with some agitation.
This is not how we resolve it. Now is not the time or the place.
Fine. So what happens to us now? Now? Now you go. Leave where you aren't supposed to be. You aren't going to capture or kill us? We are embraced, are we not? Embraced? I don't... Yes, embraced. We are merged, made one. Allies. Yes? Why would we detain or smother an embraced one? Both our species belong to the Concordate. Because we saw what happened down there? We have proof that you're No, not our sentinels. Protectors, exterminators, only doing their duty. Doing their duty? protecting you from unarmed civilians. They were innocent people. It is clear that you see without seeing. They were protecting you, the humans.
Protecting us? How does that even remotely make sense?
Through purification, they were preserving human lives.
Killing to preserve life is like fighting for peace. It's another paradox, and you know it won't hold up if an official investigation is launched.
Amusing, but untrue. The Sentinels acted in truth, with their intended purpose. There was no wrong done here.
No wrong was done here? Thousands of...
May, let's not push it. We need to leave before she changes her mind about smothering us. I do not want to experience anything remotely related to how I'm imagining it. Arguing with this creature won't make any difference, and if we die here, no one will know what happened to the colony.
Fine, you're right.
Have you decided, then? You will leave this place and not return?
What about our people still down there?
They are likely all gone by now. You are lucky to not count yourself amongst them. There is nothing left for you here. You must leave now. If you return, you will be in violation of UIC regulations. It would be well within our rights to drown the life in you.
We're not leaving without saving those colonists.
May.
No, Vera, we can't leave them.
Maveen, it's too late. We won't be leaving anyone behind. Look at the scans yourself. Maveen studied the scans. There were no human life forms left. White, hot anger rose in her throat. She wanted to climb through the screen and pummel the Cephalisk face on the other side. Diplomacy be damned. This was an injustice to everything that is good and right. Instead, she nodded at the alien face.
Let's leave then. As she said, there is nothing left for us here.
The shuttle fired its engines and started its course back to the UIC Tabitha. Maveen nervously peered at the nav interface every few seconds. She couldn't believe that the Cephalisk had allowed them to leave. She didn't quite understand it, but she was grateful. Maveen and Vera were almost too exhausted to talk on their way back to the UIC Tabitha. The adrenaline had worn off, and a tiredness soaked their bones. This is going to be a tough debriefing.
I know.
What a shit show.
Vera?
Yeah, I'm sorry, but you have to admit, this is a mess. Maveen stood up and walked over to the environmental support interface. Her back was towards Vera. I mean, just wow, still. I didn't think we were going to make it. When that squid lady appeared on the screen, I was certain we were going to die. You should have seen the look on your face when she... May? Are you okay? Maveen's shoulders were gently shaking, and Vera could hear her soft sobbing. May, what's wrong?
It's just... I'm sorry. I don't like crying in front of people.
It's okay.
You hate it when people get all emotional.
That's true, but May, you are my friend. It's awkward when you cry, but I don't want you to hide what you're feeling.
I know, it's just that poor girl, those poor souls. It's not your fault. It's not fair. She was so young, and now she's gone. All of them. They all had a future, and now it's gone.
These things happen.
They shouldn't. That's the whole problem.
Vera walked over to where Maveen was standing. She hesitated for a moment, and then placed a hand on her shoulder. You've never lost anyone before, have you?
What? No.
Not even during the war?
No one I knew personally. I only did strategic planning. High up in our starships, worlds apart from the carnage, as you mentioned.
Sorry about that. It's hard. I wish I could say it gets easier, but it doesn't.
How do you deal with it?
Honestly, I don't know. I just avoid going there in my mind.
That can't be healthy.
Ha, true. But then again, nothing about joining the Assault Marines was healthy. I guess.
So, why did you sign up?
There will always be something to fight for, no matter how much we achieve or gain. It's part of the human condition, always improving, always fighting for what is right. And someone has to do the fighting.
Vera, I know some of the other people gave you a hard time, but I guess what I'm trying to say, I'm glad I know you.
Yeah, well, give it some time. The two women continued their discussion, nervously checking to make sure they weren't being followed by the Cephalisk fleet. It was hard to believe they were actually free to go. Mavine knew that their previous, newly found peace with the Cephalisk through the Concordat was about to be tested once they were debriefed. Nothing made sense to her anymore. What did the Cephalisk have to gain by massacring a whole colony? What did they have to gain by allowing herself and Vera to report back on the event? And why do it now? Meanwhile...
Speaker for our hearts, why did you let the humans return to their own kind? Surely you saw the scans.
Indeed, I saw.
But...
You do not see, youngling. The humans wanted a seat in the pool, despite not being ready to swim. We tried, but we could not deny them access to the Concordat. But with the privilege of being a member comes responsibility.
But the scans! This will have far-reaching consequences for them, possibly for us also.
Yes, it will, but sometimes the only way to teach a stubborn newly spawned is to let it play amongst the sharp corals.
I think I understand.
Do you, youngling?
Yes, a coral injury always attracts a blood predator.
You perceive the understanding, but you do not comprehend the understanding. The humans are embraced with us. We wish them no harm. The others might not be as kind. It is better that they learn this lesson from a friend.
But what if they realise too late, or can't tame it?
You disappoint me. You know the answer to your question. I wish for them to learn, to overcome, and become wiser. It's a kindness. But if they cannot adapt, then they will perish, and then that too will be a kindness. Time will tell which kindness we showed here today. To be continued in episode 2. Well, that was quite interesting. I did enjoy that. I mean, now we've reached the end. I really hope there's some way that Catty is okay. Maybe the scanners were wrong or something like that. We do manage to reunite her with Cleo, because I love cats and it would be such a shame for her to die looking for a cat. Especially since it seems that Vera was a little bit on the harsh side. Hopefully they will answer all of this in the next part and we'll find out what happened to everyone. So I've really enjoyed playing this. One of my favourite things about it is the music, especially that music that's in the opening screen, because it's just wonderful. I think the art style is adorable. Obviously there is still work to be done on the game, they've already said that, with more episodes coming in the future. And frankly I'm really interested to see where they go with the storyline. I think it could be quite interesting, and I'll definitely check back in the future to see what these guys have got going on. And hopefully you've enjoyed that, and if you have, it would be amazing if you leave a like down below. If you want to stay up to date with what's happening in the channel, then it would be amazing if you went and subscribed. Thank you so much for watching, and goodbye!